If you determine your parents' policy might qualify for a life settlement, you're probably wondering how to bring this up without making them feel like you're trying to rush them or take control of their finances. You know, we baby boomers, we don't like that. I'm going to share the exact conversation approach that works for the baby boomers and the older generations than the baby boomers, including the mistakes adult children made the first time they approached their parents. Because how you have this conversation can make all the difference in whether they're open to exploring this option. Okay? Now, I'm Sheila Rosiel, and over the past 3 episodes, we've covered why life settlements exist, why timing matters, and how to know if your parents might qualify. But here's where a lot of adult children get stuck. You have information that could help your parents, but you're worried about overstepping boundaries or making them feel like you think they can't handle their own finances. Understand that. This is especially sensitive because money and aging are 2 topics that can trigger a lot of emotions for our parents and your parents. They might feel like you're questioning their independence or suggesting that they're not capable of making good decisions. The good news is there's a way to approach this that's going to actually make them feel more empowered, not less. Let me start by telling you what not to do. Not to do. When adult children of aging parents first discovered life settlements from someone like myself, you know, they are really excited. They're so excited about it. They have the solution. They call their parents immediately. They said something like, "Dad, I found a way for you to get rid of that insurance payment and get $60,000 or more instead of just canceling the policy." His response is going to be something like this: "I've been handling my finances for 50 years without your help, and I'm not about to start making decisions based on something you found on the internet." Now, that actually sounds like something that I would say, because I'm from the boomer generation. The conversation ended badly. He felt like his adult child was treating him like he couldn't figure out his own problems. And he felt so frustrated because he was just trying to help his dad. He was. That's when he realized he had approached it all wrong. He was presenting a solution to a problem his dad hadn't asked to help him solve. Now, a week later, after some tweaking of his approach, he tried a completely different approach. Instead of presenting a solution, he started with questions and genuine curiosity about his dad's situation. This is what he said. He said something like this. He said, "Dad," he said, "I've been thinking about that insurance payment you mentioned, the one that's been bothering you. How are you feeling about that decision you have to make? Is that something that's weighing on you?" And you pause and you let him answer. This time, he opened up. He told his son how stressed he was about it, how he hated the idea of losing all that money he put in, but also how the payments were affecting their monthly budget. He didn't want to get rid of it because it's a legacy for his son. Here's what he learned. Parents want to feel heard and understood first. They want to know you care about their stress, not just their problem. So instead of jumping in with solutions, this is what he asked. "Have you looked into what options you might have besides just keeping it, Dad, or canceling it? Have you looked into it?" That question opened the door for him to ask his son what he knew instead of trying to tell him what to do. See the difference? See the difference? Based on that experience and hundreds of conversations that are had with families right now, and since me becoming a life settlement broker, here's the framework that works best, in my opinion. Step 1, start with their feelings, not the facts. "Mom, how are you feeling about the insurance situation? I know it's been on your mind. What are you thinking about it?" Step 2, listen first. Let them express their concerns, their fears, their frustrations. Don't jump in with solutions yet. Step 3, ask about their knowledge of options, because they may have some. Have you had a chance to look into what alternatives might be available, Dad? Step 4, offer to research together. Will it be helpful if we looked into this together? I got some time this week. I can make some calls for you. Step 5, let them maintain control. Of course, whatever we find out, Dad, the decision is completely yours. I just want to make sure you have all the information. Make sense? Now, remember to let them maintain control. You say something like, of course, whatever we find out, the decision is completely yours, Mom. I just want to make sure you have all the information. Notice that at no point are you telling them what to do or presenting yourself as having all the answers, because you don't. You're offering to be a research partner, not a decision maker. Okay? Now, let me prepare you for some common reactions. Be ready for and how to handle them. Okay, here's scenario 1. If they say, that sounds too good to be true, your response should be, I thought the same thing, Dad. That's exactly why I think we should get some professional opinions and really understand how this thing works before making any decisions. Okay, so scenario number 2. If they say, I don't want strangers knowing my business, try something like this. I clearly understand that, Mom. We don't have to share any information until we're comfortable. Maybe we could just ask some general questions first, just to see if it's even worth exploring, Mom. Scenario number 3. If they get defensive and say something like, I can handle my own finances, respond with, of course you can, and you always have. I'm not questioning that at all, Mom and Dad. I just know you're dealing with a stressful situation, and I want to support you however I can. Now, the key is always validating their feelings and reinforcing their autonomy while offering your support. Please do that. Please do that. Now, let me tell you this. Once they're open to exploring the option, here's how to handle the follow-up. Here's how you handle it. First, offer to be the point person for the initial research. Would it help if I made some preliminary calls to get information, Mom? That way you don't have to deal with salespeople until we know if it's worth your time. Make sense? Second thing, suggest a specific timeline. Dad, how about I spend this week gathering the information, and then we can sit down this weekend and we can go through what I found out, what I learned. Third, reassure them about the pace, and we can take as much time as you need to feel comfortable with any decision. And here's something crucial. Follow through exactly as you promised. If you say you have information by Friday, have the information by Friday. Your parents are trusting you to help them navigate something they don't understand. And reliability is everything. Now, what if they say no? What if they say no? What if they're just not interested in exploring this option? That's their right, and it's important to respect that decision. But you can still offer. I understand and I respect your decision, Mom and Dad. If you ever change your mind, I want to talk through the stress of those payments. I'm here for you. Just in other words, just leave the door open for them. Sometimes parents need time to think about new information. Don't be surprised if they bring it up again now in a few weeks or months when that next payment comes due and the stress hits them all over again. So just be prepared for that. Remember, your job isn't to convince them to do a life settlement. That's not your job. Your job is to make sure they know all their options so that they can make the best decision for their situation. Okay? In our final episode, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens during the life settlement process. Step by step. No surprises, no confusion, just exactly what your family can expect if you decide to move on. Okay? Now, let me go back over it. I share real timelines, what documents you need, and how to make sure you're working with reputable companies, because once you have the conversation, you'll want to know exactly what's going to come next. Okay? So I'm going to prepare you for that. The conversation with your parents doesn't have to be stressful, or confrontational. It don't. When you approach it as a caring adult child who wants to support them, most parents appreciate having someone in their corner. They really do. Trust me. Ask me how I know. Make sure to subscribe for the final episode, and remember, you're doing the right thing by making sure your parents have all the information they need to make the best decision for their situation, okay?